It's a sad day in our household because for the first time ever, I was denied for a credit card. I'm making this video as a cautionary tale for anyone out there that wants to apply for many credit cards in a short period of time. There won't be any long-term effects because of this denial, but I still want you to know what happened to me so that when you're applying for credit cards, the risk of denial is minimized. So the card I was trying to apply for was actually in my wife's name. My wife and I share all of our finances and all of our credit card points and all of our travels. And so when I say, hey, it's time for you to apply for another card, she is totally on board. As long as it earns her points and miles or cash back, she's all about it. And the card we were looking at getting was the Chase Inc. Cash. This is a business card, and business cards from Chase can be so powerful, earning a ton of points that you can use for future trips or cash back if you want to. So we simply went to this Chase for Business website where you can see 4 Inc. cards that earn ultimate rewards points, and we selected the Inc. Cash. And then when we clicked apply now, we just filled out the whole application. Everything looked good. Everything looked completely normal as we always do. And then when we applied for the card, submitted the application, it got put in pending review. And we have been pretty aggressive with our credit card applications recently to rack up a ton of points and miles, and so I've been applying for a lot of Chase business cards lately, and so has my wife. And so this pending review screen wasn't that unfamiliar. Like, we knew what this was about. We knew, okay, maybe we're gonna have to call the reconsideration line either today or tomorrow to find out the true reason why they can't approve us instantly for this card. We didn't really think that much of it, just thought it was completely normal. Sometimes when this happens, we just have to go to bed that night and then wake up in the morning with a credit card approval. But that did not happen. We woke up, there was no email, any update, so we decided to call the Chase reconsideration line on the business end to see if we could turn that denial into an approval. That first conversation was pretty short. They didn't give out a ton of information and said that we couldn't be approved for the card. And I thought that was like, okay, well, they didn't really give out a whole lot, so I'm just gonna call back again. And then basically the same result happened. It was a pretty short conversation, basically saying, I don't think that we can approve you for this application. So that's it. I decided to wait a couple days. Maybe there was something on the back end that Chase needed to work out before calling in again. And then the third rep that we ended up talking to, it was not a favorable decision for us because they looked at all of the cards my wife had got recently and said, oh, you've got 5 business cards from Chase in the past 24 months. And so I'm not going to be able to approve this application. And I thought this was very interesting because many of us have heard of the Chase 524 rule, which states that if you've been approved for 5 or more personal cards from any bank in the last 24 months, Chase will, in most cases, auto-deny you for your next card. But in this situation, there was kind of a different 524 rule going on with 5 business card approvals from Chase in the last 24 months, and they said you will not be getting your 6th one today. And so the two rules, I don't know how related they are, probably not that much at all, but it is interesting that they kind of quoted a 524 rule on the phone saying you are going to be denied for this card. So now I want to take a look at my wife's recent cards that she got with Chase, and then we can kind of determine, was it smart for me to push this application through knowing all of her stats. So the cards that my wife has got, we can start off with the very first one, the Amazon Prime Visa. At the time of submitting this application, this card was 38 months old, or over 3 years old. So this card really wouldn't play a huge role into this recent application. And then the second card that she got was the Sapphire Preferred, and this one was 20 months old when I submitted the application. This one, it may have played some role in this denial. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. So the Inc. Unlimited was 17 months ago. This was under her social security number as a sole proprietor. And then there was an Inc. cash from an LLC that I have with my wife, and this was 14 months ago that she got this card. And then 4 months ago, she got another Inc. Unlimited, this time under the LLC that my wife and I share. And then 3 months ago, she got the Inc. Preferred with a $95 annual fee. And then 2 months ago, she got the IHG Business Premier card. And so there's 3 cards that she's been approved for, 3 Chase business cards that she's been approved for in the last 6 months. And then in the last 12 months, it was those 3 business cards. And then in the last 24 months, you can see that there were 5 Chase business card approvals in the last 24 months. So according to that, I could actually now see why Chase didn't want to approve her for a 4th business card from Chase in the last 6 months. That kind of makes sense to me now. This is an extremely high velocity for pretty much anybody, unless you have an insanely high income or insanely high business revenue. Then it would make sense why Chase would be a little bit suspicious and be like, why are you applying for so many cards specifically from our bank? And now I totally get that. There was extremely high velocity, and we weren't doing a great job of putting a lot of spend on a bunch of the other business cards. Usually it was just, let's hit the welcome bonus, let's hit the minimum spend, get a ton of points, and then move on to the next card, which in hindsight, we probably should not have done that. A few days later, I noticed that Chase sent my wife a letter with all of this information. It basically goes through the reasons why she is denied for the card, and then there's 3 bullet points right here. We based our decision on the following reasons. Number 1, you have too many active accounts or too much available credit. Okay, so the too many active accounts, Chase doesn't really deny people for having too many credit cards with them. I guess unless it's my case where we just been getting too many cards really fast. And then this too much available credit, it seems to happen with a lot of people, and that's why they're denied for Chase cards, is because their total credit limit with Chase exceeds more than half of their annual income. And so I actually went in before we applied for the card, and I lowered some of her credit limits on her cards because I knew about this rule, but that still did not help. And then number 2, why she got denied, is new Chase business card recently opened. Well, yeah, this could totally apply to her situation. I mean, 3 new Chase business cards in the last 6 months. Okay, I see where we went wrong. And then the 3rd bullet point, business too new. The business that we put in for her was a sole proprietorship that she's kind of been working on for the past 3 years. And so it was 3 years old. So the business too new, I don't know how relevant that is to this denial, but I agree with the first 2, at least those ones, and then maybe the 3rd one as well. Okay, so now let's talk about the next steps that I'm going to be taking with her Chase credit card applications, and then after that I'll talk about what you need to know for your applications. So the next steps, I realized, okay, yes, we had been going too aggressive on these Chase credit cards, and so maybe it's time to just kind of pull back a little bit. For my applications, I hadn't actually been applying for too many Chase cards or Chase business cards recently because I wanted to keep my credit report clean in case I wanted to apply for a credit card from an inquiry-sensitive bank like Barclays or US Bank. So for that reason, we had been putting a lot of applications on her credit report. And so now I'm noticing, all right, let's take a step back here. That might have been 1 application too many. And that leads into our biggest fear that could happen. We could get shut down by Chase if we are sending in too many applications and getting approved for too many cards. There are data points out there that say that people do get shut down with Chase if they just go and fire off so many applications and get approvals. That's not going to happen to 99% of people out there, but just so that you are aware, that could happen if you are being too aggressive with your applications. So I have 3 takeaways that you need to know from this video and from my experience. Number 1, a credit card denial is not the end of the world. I know that I kind of painted a negative picture in this video of, well, hold on, slow down, don't apply for too many cards, but in reality, like, not very many people out there, even including all the people watching this video, you may not be trying to apply for 4 Chase business cards in the last 6 months. We just had a ton of spend in that 6 months, so that's why we're applying for so many cards. But for pretty much all of you out there, you don't have to worry. Even if you get denied for a different reason than the reason why my wife was denied, well, that's okay. It's just going to show up as a hard inquiry on your credit report, and it's really not a big deal. Just take the denial and then try to learn from it a little bit, and then you can apply for another card in a month or two. Takeaway number 2 is that banks care about how you interact with their products. So credit cards are a product of any bank, and they are trying to sell you on them, whether it's a no annual fee card or one with a high annual fee. They want you to get their cards and use them in the way that they want you to. So basically, just play nice with them. You don't want to try to abuse any sort of system that they have set up in place. If they have a welcome offer on the card, you should definitely work towards that minimum spend and get those bonus points because they want you to apply for their cards. But just keep in mind that this is a relationship that you have with the bank. You don't want to mess up your relationship by doing too many things that may be seen as suspicious to them. And takeaway number 3 is that many of you will just not have to worry about this situation that I'm currently in right now, but because I do have this YouTube channel talking about credit cards, points, miles, cash back, I somewhat want to test the boundaries a little bit just to see what's out there. And because I currently do have a lot of spend right now, I thought, okay, well, let's just see what happens. And once I got this denial, I realized, all right, we're done with Chase, at least right now, at least for the next few months. Let's just not apply for any cards. But you will probably not have this situation. If you get a new card maybe every 3 months, every 4 months, every 5 months, you will not have a problem like this. So you don't have to worry at all. So please don't let me scare you off from applying for credit cards. Credit cards are super powerful and they can lead us to get a ton of cash back or some really cool trips all around the world. So please don't get scared off because this will most likely never happen to you. So with that said, in the recent past, I did safely test out another credit card application rule where I applied for 2 credit cards in one day. I did it totally safely, and you can do the same if you watch that video and learn how I did it. So thank you so much for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one.